rounds of unused ammunition in the suspect's car after his rampage. Joining me right now, political analyst Zerlina Maxwell and communications director for Everytown for Gun Safety, Erica Soto-Lamb. I want to start with this right now. The father of one of the victims expressing his frustration in the aftermath of the rampage Saturday in a way only a victim's relative can. Take a listen.
Why did Chris die? Chris died because of craven, irresponsible politicians and the NRA. They talk about gun rights. What about Chris's right to live? When will this insanity stop? When will enough people say, stop this madness? We don't have to live like this. Too many have died. We should say to ourselves, not one more. Thank you. That's it.
Erica, not one more. Will there be not one more as lawmakers redouble their efforts right now? Does this help your cause?
This is the objective of the organization that I work for, Everytown for Gun Safety and Moms Demand Action. Gun violence is no longer an urban problem. It is a problem for all Americans, and it's something that we see it, we need to know as parents that when we send our children off to college that they're going to be safe. When we go to the movie theaters, when we go to church, shopping malls, gun violence is affecting all Americans, and that's exactly why we're asking all Americans to vote with gun sense, which means we need to do more. We need to ask our elected officials to do more to keep us safe from gun violence and keep guns out of dangerous hands.
Will this emotion translate, though?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've been calling for no more names and not one more amongst ourselves, and more Americans are hearing this call. Events like these are absolutely tragic. But mass shootings actually account for a very small percentage of people who are killed with guns in this country. 86 Americans are killed every day, and 8 of those are children or teenagers. And we know that we can do more to prevent those deaths.
Now, part of that, you were saying not one more, Zerlina, and that's one of the hashtags that are out there. There's also Yes, All Women, something that you've been following in social media, and that has started because of this tragedy.
Yes, and it also is connected to the idea or the response from people when you say, we really need to talk about masculinity and a healthy form of masculinity, and then men interject and say, well, not all men are rapists and not all men abuse women. And so Yes, All Women is a response to say, not all men are abusive to women, but yes, all women during the course of their lifetimes have to deal with sexual harassment, assault, and abuse. All women, it impacts all women. And so I think one of the things that this case shows is that the mixture of lethal misogyny, which is the hatred of women, which he expressed explicitly in his video and in his manifesto. Many times, resulted in actual violence in real life. And so like she said, we need to talk about mental health. We need to talk about gun safety, but we also need to talk about misogyny because it's something that's reinforced by our institutions, and he's not held accountable for those beliefs, right? So if he's expressing, clearly it's probably not a surprise to his friends and family that he has these feelings. Now, why is that acceptable? Why are we allowing him to just go buy guns and to not get the help that he really needs?
Yeah, go ahead.
The combination of guns and women is really dangerous. I don't know if most people know that American women are 11 times more likely to be killed with a gun than women in any other developed country.
Yes. And 2 times more likely to be the victims in a school shooting. And most of the school shooting victims are women.
Women, guns, and we have to talk about mental health.
Yes.
And certainly that's a topic that has been brought up since the case came about on Friday. When you look at Erica here, the issue of mental health, there has been some progress, though, hasn't there?
There absolutely has. My organization just released a report about how we're closing the gaps in the National Instant Criminal Background Check system with states submitting records. So if you recall the Virginia Tech shooter, he was able to buy a gun because his record was not in the system. Since then, Mayors Against Legal Guns, which is a part of our organization, has been pressuring states to submit their records. And we've tripled the records in the last 3 years. But there are still a dozen states that have submitted less than 100 records of those who are prohibited from buying guns because they're mentally ill, dangerously mentally ill.
Quickly, where will this end up then, Zerlina, as we look at the pain that Mr. Martinez is going through?
Unfortunately, I think that there's no political will to actually move the ball on gun safety right now, right? So we're in an election year. There's, Republicans who really aren't going to act on any issue before the midterm elections. And so I think if you're a Democrat and someone who is sick and tired of people dying every day from senseless gun violence, I think that we need to turn out in November to make sure that legislation is passed. And also, too, one of the things about the mental health that I just want to make the point is that, too often with white male shooters, we blame it on mental health, and we don't look at the structural factors here. So misogyny and the hatred of women is really what the core at the core of this incident here, and I think that we need to take that more seriously and not just say, oh, well, you know, there was something wrong with him mentally and it can't be fixed. We can fix this.
Which legislatively has been getting a lot of attention in this last cycle, as you both well know. Zerlina, Erica, thank you so much for your perspective today. Up next.